Hello and welcome to this recorded session aimed at mentors who are supporting trainee teachers on the NCFE Level 5 Diploma in Teaching in Further Education and Skills. My name's Janet King, I'm the Sector Manager for Education and Early Years here at NCFE, and I'm joined by my colleague Elena Bennett, Provider Development Officer. Mentorship is a vital foundation of teacher training. It's through this relationship that trainees develop the skills and the confidence to grow into effective educators. In this session, we'll discuss what makes a good mentor, an effective mentor and mentee in the context of teacher training. Let's get started by taking a look at the specification content. This qualification is designed to provide trainee teachers with the knowledge and the skills to teach in a range of contexts. It has been developed for those intending to work in the post-16, the further education and training sector. Internally assessed and externally quality assured portfolio of evidence will be required. The qualification must be assessed in line with the Education and Training Foundation's framework for teaching in FE. This qualification requires learners to complete a mandatory work industry placement experience throughout the duration of the qualification prior to successful certification. To be awarded this qualification, learners are required to successfully achieve all 5 units, 90 credits, from the mandatory units, and at least 3 units, making up 30 additional credits, from the 7 optional units. The qualification aligns with the Learning and Skills Teacher Standard, and this slide offers a summary of that information here. There is also a useful link to the standard and the qualification specification at the bottom of this slide. Professional Practice Portfolio, Unit 4, has specific assessment requirements. It must include evidence of all required practice hours and also a portfolio of placement evidence. At least 10 observations of groups being a minimum of 10 learners, and each observation lasting at least 45 minutes. Up to 2 observations can be live remote sessions. 1 additional session can be observed remotely with prompt feedback. Observations should be spaced across the programme, conducted by the centre, tutor or mentor, and tutors should provide observation reports to be included in the professional portfolio. Final assessment includes a professional discussion to confirm competencies have been met. And of course, refer to Ofsted's Further Education and Skills Handbook to ensure those standards are also being met. So now let's explore the requirements of the provider when it comes to supporting the students. So let's just delve into those placement requirements. Placement hours equates to a minimum of 250 hours. Teaching practice must evidence that at least 150 hours and 100 hours of those 150 must be in the learner's subject area. So teaching practice of at least 150 hours with 100 of those hours in the learner's subject area. Delivery modes consist of a minimum of 20 hours remote, live remote, and 80 hours face-to-face. Professional practice, the remaining hours include or can include team meetings, planning, assessments, observations, and CPD sessions. There is a requirement that placement covers at least 2 locations, with the second location being at least 20 hours, ideally at a different centre or a different area in the same centre, and the 20 hours can include observation, CPD, or other activities. Let's think now about supporting the student. Each learner should be supported by 2 staff members at their placement in addition to their course tutor. A subject specialist competent at teaching in the learner's subject area. And the subject specialist must provide subject-specific support. We recommend 30 minutes per week for this and additionally engage in assessment. Particularly subject-specific elements. You can find out more in the Unit 4 reflective log. Also, there is a requirement for a pastoral mentor who will provide general advice and support to learners. Again, NCFE recommends 30 minutes per week for this. The pastoral mentor must liaise with the Centre on Learner Progress and may support multiple learners. In smaller placements, a centre staff member can take on the mentoring role if they have enough additional time. Let's take a look at how the role of the mentor integrates into the Unit 4 specification. This unit focuses on preparing for placement and developing as a teacher in FE. Mentors play a critical role in supporting learners to achieve these outcomes. And you can see in that first column learning outcomes that have been taken from Unit 4 of the specification. Be able to prepare for placement as a teacher in further education, and how the criteria then links to that. Negotiate a schedule of attendance and teaching responsibilities with your mentor. So these have been taken randomly from Unit 4 because these particular criteria link and reference back to the mentor and that partnership and that rapport. Be able to reflect on observed teaching sessions, develop own learning and readiness to teach alongside a teacher with mentor. Be able to co-teach. Summarize your learning from co-teaching to discuss ways to improve own practice with your mentor. Develop own learning and readiness to independently teach a class with mentor, including how the teacher identifies, considers and takes steps to minimize the impact of barriers to learning. Be able to demonstrate the role and responsibilities of a professional teacher in FE. Collaborate with the mentor to discuss action plans, agree and record next steps. Reflect on own increasing competence as a professional teacher and what this means with your mentor. Be able to apply understanding of FE and skills sector provision. Plan and initiate a discussion of reflections identified in 7.2, so 7.2 from Unit 4, and own practice outcomes with your mentor.
So, what exactly is the role of the mentor? We're now going to explore the characteristics and expectations of what it means to be a mentor in more depth. We will focus on pastoral mentoring, which involves providing emotional support, guidance and encouragement to help your trainee teacher manage personal challenges and maintain their well-being alongside their professional development. So let's start by defining what it means to be a mentor. So a little historical context. Mentoring originates from Greek mythology, meaning tell him all you know, sharing knowledge, sharing experience and recognising possibilities for growth. Odysseus entrusted his house and the education of his son to his friend, mentor, saying to him, tell him all you know. NCFE defines a mentor as a trusted counsellor or teacher to another person who will help others succeed. We're now going to look in more depth at the role of a mentor and that of the mentee. So here are the key characteristics of an effective mentor in teacher training. A desire to help others. Mentoring is about truly wanting to see your trainee succeed as a well-rounded educator. and current and relevant knowledge is essential. You need to stay informed about curriculum changes, pedagogy and classroom management strategies. Sharing this knowledge ensures your trainee is well prepared for today's classrooms. Willingness to share failures and lessons learned. Teaching can be challenging, and sharing your own struggles, like the lesson that didn't go to plan, for example, helps trainees understand that growth often comes from mistakes. Listening, feedback and guidance skills. A good mentor listens to their trainees' reflections, provides clear and actionable feedback and guides without taking over. And managing risks. Trainees need opportunities to experiment and develop their style, but within safe boundaries. A mentor helps balance risk-taking with ensuring that student outcomes are not negatively impacted. And then looking at the characteristics of the mentee. The commitment to growth. Teaching is a profession of continuous learning. A strong mentee would be open to feedback and willing to refine their skills. Clear career goals. Having goals helps your mentor support your progress effectively. And be willing to ask for help and admit knowledge gaps. It's okay not to have all of the answers. Mentorship is the perfect opportunity to learn. So a mentee should be honest about where they need guidance. Accept feedback and constructive criticism. So feedback is essential for becoming a better teacher. So you should embrace it, reflect on it, and use it to improve practice. And hold themselves accountable. As a trainee, you're responsible for implementing what you learn, preparing lessons, and staying on track with your own development. And showing initiative, whether it's trying a new teaching strategy or asking to observe other teachers, taking proactive steps shows your mentor that you're committed to learning. Mentoring should be a two-way process between mentor and mentee, and this should involve mutual respect and trust. So establishing a respectful, trusting environment where both mentor and trainee feel valued, safe, supported, and ensure confidentiality in discussions. Open and honest communication. So encourage active listening and open dialogue about teaching successes, challenges and areas for improvement. Shared goals and expectations. It's useful to collaborate to set clear, realistic goals focused on specific teaching skills, classroom management or lesson planning, and regularly revisit these goals. Reciprocal learning and growth. So recognise that both mentor and trainee can learn from each other's experiences, teaching methods and insights. The constructive feedback loop. So exchange constructive feedback with a focus on specific teaching practices and student outcomes, and view feedback as an opportunity for continuous improvement. Empathy and emotional support. Show empathy towards the trainee's challenges, such as managing classroom behaviour or preparing lessons, and offer emotional support in helping the trainee build confidence and resilience. Collaborative problem solving. To work together to address classroom challenges such as student engagement or time management. Flexibility and adaptability. So be open to adjusting your mentoring and feedback approaches based on the trainee's evolving needs and stage of development. Shared accountability. Both mentor and trainee take responsibility for personal and professional growth within the mentoring relationship. And celebration of progress and success. So recognise and celebrate teaching milestones, whether it's delivering a successful lesson or building a positive classroom environment. These shared components should ensure a productive and supportive mentoring relationship, which helps the trainee teacher to build confidence, skills and resilience in their teaching journey. And finally, let's look at strategies for effective mentoring. It will be useful to set up an initial meeting to build rapport and establish ground rules with your mentee. These may include frequency of meetings. For example, how often will you meet? Where will you meet? What will be the typical duration of a meeting? Who is responsible for arranging the meetings, checking diaries and agendas, etc.? Ensure confidentiality, so creating a safe space. Think about what the objectives will be, which areas will be addressed or won't be addressed, and how to make the most of the sessions. So what will you both commit to so that you can make effective use of the time? Here's a step-by-step guide for a pastoral mentor to effectively support a trainee teacher during a meeting. So preparing for the meeting, review any notes or feedback from previous sessions and identify key areas to address based on the trainee's recent challenges or concerns. Create a welcoming environment. Start with a friendly open greeting to put the trainee at ease and express appreciation for their effort and dedication. Listen actively. So ask open-ended questions to encourage the trainee to share their experiences and feelings. Use active listening skills, nod, make eye contact and avoid interrupting. Acknowledge and validate concerns. So show empathy by acknowledging any frustrations or challenges the trainee faces and normalise their experiences by reassuring them that many teachers face similar struggles. Identify key areas for support. So through discussion, help the trainee pinpoint specific challenges, for example, classroom management, workload or confidence, and ask clarifying questions to ensure you understand their perspective fully. Offer practical strategies. So provide targeted strategies or resources based on the trainee's needs. For example, time management tips or classroom management techniques or confidence building exercise. And focus on small actionable steps to avoid overwhelming the trainee. Encourage self-reflection and set goals. So ask the trainee to reflect on their recent achievements or strengths and collaboratively set realistic short-term goals for improvement, such as focusing on one specific teaching skill. Develop a follow-up plan. So schedule a follow-up meeting to review progress and discuss any additional challenges, and encourage the trainee to keep a journal of their experiences and improvements to bring to the next session. Express ongoing support. Reassure the trainee that they can reach out for support between meetings if needed, and conclude by reaffirming confidence in their growth and abilities as a teacher. And then mentor self-reflection. So after the meeting, reflect on what went well and areas to improve in terms of supporting the trainee, and note any specific areas where the trainee may need additional resources or follow-up. And this step-by-step approach should help ensure that the trainee teacher feels supported, empowered and equipped to make incremental improvements in their teaching journey.
So here we have a sample scenario. Let's have a think about this one. So you're going to see a scenario on the next slide, and we're going to think about how you would respond as a mentor. You might want to work with your mentee, and you might want to pause the recording to be able to do that in a more structured way. So we're going to be thinking about how you would listen and identify the main challenges, what strategies you could suggest that may help, and how you and your mentee will follow up and reflect on progress. So here's the sample scenario. You are a mentor working with Kieran, a student teacher who is enthusiastic but overwhelmed by his workload. Kieran is in his first placement at your organisation and is juggling lesson planning, marking student work and preparing for coursework assessments, whilst also attending evening classes as part of his teaching qualification. Kieran frequently stays late to work, but despite his efforts, he struggles to keep up with the demands of teaching and often appears tired and stressed. He has mentioned that he feels like he's falling behind and he isn't sure how to manage everything. So this is a good place to pause the recording and to think about ways that you could help. Remember, you're thinking about how you would listen and identify the main challenges, what strategies you could suggest that may help, and how you and your mentee will follow up and reflect on their progress. So let's think now about how you can help as a mentor, how you could help Kieran. What would be your main or core objective here? As a mentor, your goal is to support Kieran in developing strategies for managing his workload, prioritising any tasks that he may have, and maintaining a healthy work-life balance. The focus is on helping Kieran create practical routines and addressing his stress before it impacts his performance in the classroom, maintaining that motivation through your support, guidance, and your experience. In any initial meetings, your role would be to listen, to empathise and reassure Kieran that this stress is common among trainee teachers. Through questions, you could identify those challenges. You know that Kieran struggles with time-consuming lesson planning, marking and balancing work with his coursework. He also tends to focus on details impacting his overall time management. And that will help you to support Kieran and to have meaningful, purposeful conversations to help him and move things forward. So let's have a think about the different ways that you could help. What about the suggested strategies? Discuss time management, prioritising a focus on essential tasks, setting boundaries, set a daily work cut-off to prevent burnout. Kieran was feeling overwhelmed, tired and stressed. Use templates to allow for planning to save time and avoid the sense of being perfect. Maybe practically you could help Kieran create a manageable weekly schedule and break down tasks. Also share any stress relief strategies that you may know of that work for you or that you've heard work for other teachers. And introduce a simple relaxation technique like deep breathing. Set a follow-up meeting to review Kieran's progress and encourage goal setting, like ending lesson planning by 7 p.m. or dedicating specific time blocks for marking. During follow-up, through reflection and support, help Kieran reflect on progress to build confidence and provide additional resources as needed. And mentor self-reflection. Together reflect on the session's effectiveness and consider increased check-ins to ensure Kieran feels supported.
Thank you, Janet. So now we're going to move on to a second scenario. This is another opportunity to practice applying your mentoring skills to a different challenge faced by a trainee teacher. So as before, think carefully about these three key aspects. So firstly, how would you listen and identify the main challenges? So what techniques would you use to help the trainee feel heard? And how would you uncover the underlying issues they're struggling with? Secondly, what strategies could you suggest that might help? So what practical advice, tools or resources could you offer to help them address the situation? And how will you and your mentee follow up and reflect on the progress? So how will you ensure that the trainee has the ongoing support they need, and how will you help them reflect on their growth? Again, take your time, pause the recording, consider your approach, and then compare with the suggested strategies on the next slide. So this scenario relates to Sophia, who is a student teacher in her first placement. So far, she has shown strong preparation skills, but struggles with classroom confidence. She feels nervous speaking in front of the class and often doubts her teaching abilities. And in recent lessons, she's hesitated to assert authority, causing students to become distracted. She confides to you, her mentor, "I feel like the students aren't taking me seriously and I'm worried I'm not cut out for this." So as I just said previously, if you want to pause the video here and have a think about how you could support Sophia in this situation. Okay, so let's look at how you could help Sophia. So firstly, your objective as Sophia's mentor is to support her in developing self-confidence and classroom presence. This could be achieved through setting small, achievable goals to experience success and build self-assurance. In your initial meeting, listen and empathise. Acknowledge Sophia's feelings and normalise her experience, reassuring her that many new teachers face self-doubt. Point out and validate her existing strengths, such as her preparation skills, and emphasise that confidence grows over time with practice. Then identify specific confidence challenges. So, for example, through open-ended questions, encourage Sophia to identify situations where she feels most insecure, for example, giving instructions or managing behaviour or maintaining student engagement. And ask if there are moments when she does feel more confident, even if it's outside the classroom, to help draw some parallels. So following on from that, think about, in terms of suggested strategies, some guided discussions. So, for example, how to adopt a teacher persona in creating a sense of authority. So encourage Sophia to experiment with small changes in voice, tone, body language and eye contact to project confidence. And set small wins. So help Sophia set 1 or 2 manageable goals for each lesson, such as confidently giving instructions or holding eye contact with students to help build small successes. And you could practice assertive language. So, for example, role-play scenarios to practice assertive language and responses may help Sophia become more comfortable with classroom authority. A practical exercise could be to allow Sophia to allow you to record a short segment of her teaching for you to review in a session. And you could focus on identifying moments where she does display confidence, helping her recognise her progress. Micro-teaching practice is a useful tool, so schedule a time for Sophia to teach a mini lesson with you or a small group of peers in a low-stakes environment and provide supportive feedback to reinforce positive behaviours. Then in terms of follow-up and accountability, arrange a follow-up meeting with Sophia within a week to discuss her experiences with the new strategies. Ask her to share 1 or 2 moments where she felt a small boost in confidence and set a specific goal for her next observed lesson, such as using a clear, confident voice while giving instructions. In terms of reflection and ongoing support, encourage Sophia to keep a journal of positive moments in each lesson, no matter how small, to build a track record of her progress. And provide additional resources such as articles or videos on developing confidence and classroom presence. As a mentor, it's important to self-reflect, so consider the session's effectiveness and what additional support Sophia might need, such as pairing her with other student teachers for peer support.
So, thank you very much for listening to our short webinar. I just want to take a moment to review what we've covered today. We've looked at the summary of the specification content. We've thought about supporting the student and the requirements of the provider. We've looked at the role of the mentor and strategies for effective mentoring, which may be extremely useful and beneficial as activities that you can do independently as a mentor, but also to introduce the role of the mentor and the mentee, thinking about the expectations. So it could well be something that student teachers will also find really useful. You can find out more about the introduction to the qualification through other pre-recorded webinars that you can find here. I'm just going to share our contact details. So if you have any questions about apprenticeships and how this qualification fits in with that standard, then please don't hesitate to contact Alison Chatton, and her contact details are there. And Alison is our product manager for apprenticeships. You can of course contact myself and also Elena, and we'll be very happy to hear from you and any questions that you may. So thank you very much to listening to the recording. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And also here we have a link to on-demand evaluation form. Please do, you'll be able to scan that and to share any feedback, leave any questions if you would prefer, or email us, and we really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this webinar. Thank you.